Spiritual Gumbo, Syrian Connection, and then my brother's presence. We're going to start at verse 62 of chapter 24 of the Genesis, and we're just going to carry on. And last time when we read, we went through a little episode where we first come to the understanding that the land that Abraham would clarify as his homeland is now Syrian Mesopotamia. But it wasn't called that before. And furthermore, we know that Abraham comes from the land of the Chaldeans. So with that having been said, Abraham was totally ashamed that he was Chaldean. Completely, utterly ashamed. So much so that this is why he didn't tell his servant to go back to Chaldea, back by the river, across the river, but just to go to Syria and Mesopotamia to go get a wife for his son. Having said that, no, Abraham was likened to a king. Obviously, that makes Sarah likened to a queen. That means that when she sends Agar and her son Ismael on their way, it's so that way they cannot be a challenge for the throne, so to speak, the actual heirship, the hierarchy that is to go forth and to be put into stone. With that being said, we pick up at verse 62 and we go on. And Isaac went into the wilderness, to the well of the vision, and he dwelt in the land toward the south. And Isaac went forth into the plain toward evening to meditate. And having lifted up his eyes, he saw camels coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes and saw Isaac. And she alighted briskly from the camel, and said to the servant, "Who is that man that walks in the plain to meet us?" And the servant said, "This is my master." And she took her veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all that he had done. And Isaac went into the house of his mother, and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted for Sarah his mother. Now, something I wanted to speak on to you guys about is that if you pay close attention, Isaac doesn't have a wife till he's 40 years old. Now, the reason why this is so important is because you must appreciate the fact that Sarah and Abraham were never able to have children. And the child that Abraham did sire was not through Sarah, his first child. So Sarah spent the rest of her days from 90 to 127, till Isaac was about 37 years old, with her son. And I'm pretty sure she wanted all of his time, every moment that she could get of his time, outside of, him needing to be made into a man and molded into the man that he was to become. Outside of that, I would see that his mother would wanted to have spent as much time with him as possible. It's just, come on, man. Be human for a second, y'all. So, with that said, there's a reason why he's as old as he is taking a wife and not younger. With that said, let's go ahead and keep it reading. Now, this is verse 1 of chapter 25. And this is going to be, and that last part we read is the end of the Syrian Connect, right? This next part is the in my brother's presence, right? And or the presence of my brethren, however I want to say it, however you want to think about it. But what this is about is Ishmael and the prophecy that he was told that he would be a wild man, and all men against him and him against all men, right? Their hands against him, his hands against them. And it also made sure to note that he would dwell in the presence of all of his brethren. Now let me go ahead and break this down. And Abraham took a wife, whose name was Keturah. And she bore to him Zambram, and Jezan, and Medal, and Mariam, and Jesbach, and Soieh. And Jezan begot Saba, and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were the Assyrians, and the Letusians, and the Loamim. And the sons of Mariam were Gaphir, and Aphir, and Enoch, and Abedah, and Eldaga. All these were the sons of Keturah. But Abraham gave all his possessions to Isaac his son. But the sons of his concubines, Abraham's gifts, but to the sons of his concubines, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from his son Isaac. You hear that? Concubines. Anyway, we're going to keep it pushing. He sent them away from Isaac while he was yet living, to the east and to the country of the east. And these were the years of the days of the life of Abraham, as many as he lived, 175 years. Now let's stop right there. If Abraham was 100, okay, when Isaac was born, Abraham would have been 137 years old when Sarah passed. Okay, so sometime between 137 and 175, and that's only like a 38-year period, he had more children. You can say he's a dirty old man or whatever. But one of the races of the children, possibly the most important to come out of this, is through his son Dadan and his grandchildren, the Assyrians. Okay, now we're going to keep reading. And Abraham, failing, died in good old age, an old man and full of days, and was added to his people. And Isaac and Ishmael his sons buried him in the double cave, in the field of Ephron, the son of Sar, the Gittite, which is over against Mamre, even the field and the cave which Abraham bought of the sons of Chet. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass after Abraham was dead, that God blessed Isaac his son. And Isaac dwelt by the well of the vision. Listen to this right here. And these are the generations of Ishmael, the son of Abraham, who Agar the Egyptian, the handmaid of Sarah, bore to Abraham. And these are the names of the son of Ishmael, according to the names of their generation. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nabioth, and Kedar, and Nabdil, and Masam, and Masma, and Duma, and Maseh, and Kodan, and Teman, and Jetur, and Naphes, and Kedma. These are the sons of Ishmael. These are their names, in their tents and in their dwellings, 12 princes according to their nations. And these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he failed and died, and was added to his fathers. And he dwelt from Evalat to Sur, which is opposite Egypt, which until one comes into the Syrians. He dwelt in the presence of all his brethren. That was the part of that prophecy being fulfilled. And people don't want to hear it, but we'll go back and we'll put it all together. You understand? We will put it all together. One moment. I just want to find it real quick where Agar the Egyptian runs off because she's being persecuted by Sarah. You know what I'm saying? And here we go, I found it. Verse 12. No, verse 11 of chapter 16. And the angel of the Lord said to her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, for the Lord has hearkened to thy humiliation. He shall be a wild man, his hands against all, and the hands of all against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. Now let's go ahead and just read that one more time. Verse 18 of chapter 25, excuse me. And he dwelt, he being Ishmael, from Sur, which is opposite of Egypt, his mother's Egyptian, until one comes to the Assyrians. Now, the Assyrians. Now, for that only way for him to be related to the Assyrians is if these Assyrians from the loins of Abraham, okay, are the Assyrians. Thank you very much. Boy, I'm a cold piece of metal, but if you let me, man, if you let me. Anyway, we're going to cut through some stuff today. Verse 19. And these are the generations of Isaac, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac, or Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took to wife Rebekah, daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian, out of Syrian Mesopotamia, sister of Laban the Syrian. And Isaac prayed the Lord concerning Rebekah his wife, because she was barren. And the Lord heard him. And his wife Rebekah conceived in her womb, and the babes leaped within her. And she said, if it will be so with me, why is this to me? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said to her, there are two nations in thy womb, and two peoples shall be separated from thy belly. And one people shall excel the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. And the days were fulfilled. And the days were fulfilled that she should be delivered, and she had twins in her womb. And the first came out red, hairy all over like a skin, and she called his name Esau. And after this came forth his brother, and his hand took hold of the heel of Esau, and she called his name Jacob. And Isaac was 60 years old when Rebekah bore them. And the lads grew, and Esau became a man skilled in hunting, dwelling in the country, and Jacob a simple man, dwelling in a house. And Isaac loved Esau, because his venison was his food. But Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob cooked pottage, and Esau came from the plain fainting. And Esau said to Jacob, let me taste of that red pottage, because I am fainting. Therefore his name was called Edom. Stop right there. Do you see why he called him that? The pottage is red like him. Right on. And he likens his, whatever Edom means, it's likened to somebody red and falling out all over the place. Believe that. You don't have to believe it. He's not likening him to a pot of beans. Trust me. And Jacob said to Esau, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, verse 32, behold, I am going to die. For what does this birthright belong to me? And Jacob said to him, swear to me this day. And he swore to him. And Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave bread to Esau and pottage of lentils. And he ate and drank. And he arose and departed. So Esau slighted his birthright. Did you hear that? So Esau slighted his birthright. You're not supposed to give up your birthright for a freaking bowl of beans and a piece of bread. You're supposed to punk your brother. Anyway, Esau something else. We're going to get ready to end it out. But before we do, I need to read this part to you. Verse 1. And there was a famine in the land, besides the former famine, which was in the time of Abraham. And Isaac went to Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, to Gerar. And the Lord appeared to him and said, go not down to Egypt, but dwell in the land, which I shall tell thee of, and sojourn in this land. And I will be with thee, and bless thee, for I will give to thee and to thy seed all this land. And I will establish my oath, which I swore to thy father Abraham. And I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven. And I will give to thy seed all this land. And all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in thy seed. Because Abraham thy father hearkened to my voice, and kept my injunctions, and my commandments, and my ordinances, and my statutes. Stop right there. Did you hear all those different things that Abraham kept, and that people probably never knew that Abraham kept? Anyway, we know that Ismail dwelt in the presence of his brother. We understand that the Syrian connection is the most crucial part of the bloodline. They are the Syrian people are the last piece until the 12 sons of Jacob are born. And anyway, we're going to move forward, and we're going to let this ride. Spiritual Gumbo out.